History does not remember organizations for the years they flourished. It remembers the moments when visionary leadership altered their trajectory. Such leaders do not just run institutions, they build them. They do not merely deliver values, they leave behind a legacy that becomes difficult to measure. Welcome to this special episode of EIL Samvaad, where we will have a conversation with a leader whose influence cannot be confined to a designation, whose decisions ripple far beyond boardrooms, whose journey reflects purpose, empowerment, and a deep commitment to nation building. Today, we have our leader, the Chairman and Managing Director of EIL, Ms. Vartika Shukla. Before we dive into the conversation, let us take a moment to reflect upon her remarkable journey. In her journey of a distinguished career spanning around 4 decades, she has played a pivotal role in shaping India's refining, petrochemical, advanced infrastructure, and energy transition landscape. She clearly articulated 5-pillar growth strategy for EIL, that is, diversification, strategic alliances, expanding geographies, innovation through technology, and operational excellence. Under her leadership, EIL recorded an order book position of 8,214 crores in fiscal year 2024-25, the highest in the company's history of more than 6 decades. The order book now stands at around 16,000 crores, reflecting the company's strategic expansion in both domestic and global markets. She is a fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering and Indian National Science Academy and has received several accolades and awards in her career so far. Some of the notable awards include the Scope Eminence Award 2022-23 by the Honorable President of India, Distinguished Alumnus of IIT Kanpur, in recognition of her stellar contributions in the field of chemical engineering and technology. She also featured in the India Today She List Top 100 Women Achievers. She contributed significantly as a member of several committees and task forces constituted by the Government of India on diverse subject matter pertaining to the industry. That was just a glimpse of her journey. As she approaches her superannuation in February 2026, the entire EIL family comes together to acknowledge her extraordinary journey and wish her continued success in the years ahead. Ma'am, welcome to the EIL Samvaad.
Thank you, Praveen. I'm indeed delighted to be part of the EIL Samvaad and also very grateful for the wonderful, overwhelming words that you have shared with me.
It's
Thank
an
you so
honor
much.
for me, ma'am. Ma'am, before we move forward, I just wanted to know for our viewers, like what a day of an C&MD look like. I mean, because those who worked with you or those who are working with you know that how structured and disciplined you are. But for our viewers, if you can tell us, what is a typical day schedule of a CMD?
So it's very difficult to express simply. The day is, in fact, when you begin a day, there are, some items which you think are priority. But as the day proceeds, often these priority items shift to 7 o'clock in the evening because the time from morning to evening is filled up with a lot of, issues to tackle which you are not, prepared or priori planned. And to be at the helm of affairs of an organization which delivers multiple projects for multiple clients across multiple geographies and time zones, it is always the communication channel with the client which is most important. And having said that, there are often needs that you need to address during the day, which shifts the priorities. So many times your planning goes for a toss and you need to actually reschedule things on the go. But the more important thing is how you take those inputs as the day proceeds into decision-making process, into delegation, into communication with clients on issues, and work both internally and externally to make sure that you can manage, all the events to the satisfaction of each one. And it is only at probably in the evening that you begin with that you have planned to complete for the day. There is always more to do than the time that you have in your kitty, and therefore at the end of the day one always is left with a little sense of of satisfaction, of course, but a little sense of dissatisfaction also, that you could have done a little more, had the things gone as per plan.
So this brings us to a question that nowadays we see a lot more conversation about work-life balance. So what is your perspective about work-life balance? I mean, how do you balance work and life?
So it is work-life balance is tough. It's at various stages of one's career. There are choices one has to make because it is of you have to balance what your commitments are at home and what you have at work, as also to yourself. That's the third element which often gets neglected by most people. Having said that, with the responsibility of running an organization, we have to dedicate ourselves 24/7 and find time within that space to have the balance, both mental and physical, kind of to get going, to keep your focus, to keep your targets, to keep your objectives in place, to shift your priorities on the go, to reschedule things, and also be attentive and having the ability to navigate these changes as they happen. With leading an organization means you need to actually be there. And my approach to leading Engineers India has always been, being on top of things myself many times. So for that, you need a little more, that little extra, because it gets done faster, I believe. But it also eats up into your time, into your space, into your mental and physical being as well. But it's been good with the support of all my colleagues, as well as a huge support from my family as well, who understand the challenges, what it entails to actually make a difference in any organization. So I think it's been a good, if you say it's 50-50, it's not 50-50, it could be 90-10 many times, but so be it. At the end of the day, the outcome is what's important for the people of the organization.
I think this is a big lesson for our women leaders, those who are taking up positions in the higher ladder.
I think it's both for men and women.
True,
Because
yes.
it is always been my belief that the meritocracy and the talent is something which is paramount.
True.
That should also always be encouraged, irrespective of age or gender. In public sector, we have a hierarchy, but we see many leaders in the private sector who are very young, of both genders, and are doing brilliantly. So I think it's all a matter of the talent, the ability to break barriers, to drive yourself, drive your people, and also have the vision, have the inside, the determination to go out there. Because when you tread the position that you're in, you tread the circumstances, they are not always curated. True. These circumstances are sometimes very, very dynamic and could be very antagonistic. It could be very challenging also at times, especially for the work that we do with respect to project schedule, project implementation, procurement, and how to keep your calm, how to balance all that. I think it takes is gender neutral, I would say, and I think whoever is there needs to put their heart and soul into the responsibility.
True, ma'am. True. Are you on social media?
Not very much. I shy away from social media.
Okay.
I very reluctantly opened a Twitter account and reluctantly updated my LinkedIn, which I seldom use, and I don't like some of the other social media. So very restrictive on social media.
Okay, because like we have observed, and the industry says that your communication skill is literally beyond expressions. You just perceive things very quickly and just adapt to the situations that comes before you. So your message for any young leader or any person who is joining the career very early, so how important is the communication skills for them, and how to build them from the scratch?
So ultimately, I think in all that we do in personal and professional life, communication holds a very important key to making sure your point is heard, and the point will be heard if it's right.
Sure.
So I think to the second part, I would answer to make sure that the point is right. It is a win-win for everyone. It makes sense. It is logical, analytical, and in the interest of the people or the organization or the situation. It's important that individuals study it in more detail. Often I have seen that the preparation for a meeting or an event is not to the extent that it needs to be. So, while leaders need to see the 30,000 feet view, I also believe that leaders need to go to the details, because the devil is always in the details. So, so far as I go, I have even today or what I do, I would like to see the papers myself. I would like to see the details. And it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to see what you want to see. And that's a training. It is not necessary that in a paper of 200 pages you need to see all of them. You need to see just the critical part. And that you build yourself through experience, through exposure to many aspects, not just exposure to your core competency, but exposure to many other diverse activities which the organization does. And Engineers India that way is very, very enriching and very, very diverse. It's a platform where very difficult for people who want to do something different, who want to take up some other responsibility, can be stopped. And therefore, it's important that from early on have this clarity that it's not just your core competency, but a lot more that you can add on, which makes you that, kind of strong leader, that when you sit on the table and communicate, you have the facts, you have the ability to stitch those facts together in a semblance of reasonability, in a semblance of sequence, such that the person that you're communicating with gets the point. And many times I have seen that if this is not done, the conversation goes into circles, it doesn't get concluded. For the same time that you spend, we don't have that kind of outcome. So, better preparation, going down to the depth of the things, learning beyond your boundaries. I think these are all matters of training, matters of conscious assimilation in the younger years to make yourself suitable for senior level positions.
You talked about younger years and the competencies. You graduated in the year 1988 from IIT Kanpur. So those were the times when we could rarely see women in the engineering field, at least. So can you tell us a little bit about those era where you just entered the college and you were seeing like, okay, here we are all the boys and few are the girls. So from then and now, when you see like almost 20% of the women enrollment is there in the engineering colleges. So can you just briefly tell us about this transition?
Yeah, surely. So actually, my family is full of engineers, and so it was kind of a natural profession to choose, in those times. And I had elder cousins who all went to IIT, so it was a very prestigious thing to kind of crack that exam and go there. And we were all very brilliant in our own school life, with extracurricular activities and school academics, everything. But when we went to IIT, I found that there were people who were far more brilliant than us. And there was a saying during our ragging times that you might have been the cream in your college, but now you are a whipped cream. So there were so many brilliant students, more boys. We were just 6 girls in a batch of about 280. And it was intimidating, no doubt. It was very intimidating. In fact, if I were to study all over again, I would do it very differently. And that's my message to a lot of youngsters, that these all our campuses have many other things to do other than studies. And if you get caught only in studies, of course, there is more awareness now. But we must also develop a lot more skills in these campuses, whether it is not just academic, but also maybe skills which are soft skills, skills in music, art, drama. These are all campuses which are very enriched with such, potential for youngsters to pick up. But yes, as a girl, it wasn't. It was intimidating, and I always studied in a convent, so I never had a co-ed per se. But it wasn't too bad, I would say, not too bad. But it could have been better in a manner, reliving that experience. Today, I find that girls know what they want, unlike how we were not so sure as to where to go. The exposure was limited, social media was absent, internet was not there. So we had to rely on our professors, our seniors, and how to learn and look at how to migrate to a professional career. But the campus that I studied was very conducive to supporting students, supporting interaction. And today, that awareness, that consciousness, especially of girls, the more percentage of girls who are there in engineering, are indeed a very welcome sign. Although a lot of our graduates, even then and now, do not go to pure engineering.
Yes.
That's something which the country loses out to many other professions and many other geographies as well. But then, on the bright side, I think these campuses bring out the best in training a mind to be analytical, training a mind to think straight, to kind of sift through a lot of debate and bring out the best. So I think these are great institutions which groom talent, great for the country, great for the world as well.
Nowadays we see variety of singers coming from
Yes.
IITs.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like great to see that the IITs are not only generating engineers,
Right.
but they are generating entrepreneurs as well. Like startup incubation centers are there. So the things have improved a lot, both in gender perspective or in general.
Yes. Yes.
Ma'am, coming to the point, you told about your professors. So in the early 80s, all the graduates were moving to, especially chemical engineering graduates were moving to abroad for their careers. So your professors didn't suggest you to go there, or you just, was it a conscious choice to stay in India? Or what just propelled you to stay here?
So my professors were very annoyed at me, rather. I would not say they were very annoyed when they came to know that having taken GRE, I had not applied, because in those times, masters was also scholarship based, and you didn't have to, dish out any money for doing that. So they were very, very, very disappointed that I did not go abroad. So was my mother. But somehow I wanted to stay in the country. And the feeling of serving the nation was very strong. And so I stuck on. And perhaps also the not that it worried me to go to a new country or settle there. That was never intimidating, but more of kind of staying on in India and looking at finding work and getting on to, instead of studies, going on into the industry. I think that steered me. And the professor with whom I did my BTech project, he when EIL came to the campus, he said that you join EIL because it has just opened its R&D center in Gurgaon, and it's a great place for chemical engineers. So I had two jobs, DCM Shriram and Engineers India. And somehow my father was in a public sector. So I at that time, I don't quite clearly remember, but it was a difference of some, I think, 200 or 300 rupees as stipend, which DCM was paying a little more than EIL. But somehow it all converged that I joined Engineers
Yeah.
India, as recommended by my professors. And so that's how I made that choice.
But it was good that you joined here
Yeah.
because we got that opportunity to work with you, and you almost entirely transformed this EIL, Abhi, what we see now.
Likewise, likewise.
So, ma'am, your first assignment, let us talk about that. What was your first assignment here in EIL?
So my first assignment was in the gas processing, and I
Okay.
joined the process division. And the first assignment was an LPG unit revamp.
Okay.
I still remember the job number. It was 2660
Oh, great.
with all the data sheets and signing of PNIDs, etc., where we were revamping and enhancing the capacity of LPG recovery from natural gas for Uran ONGC.
Okay.
That was my first project, and we did some simulations. In those time, we had cards to go into the computer, and that was located in another building. So we had to code it well, first time right. There was no way you could do it wrong. And I think that's again a difference which I find over what we did earlier and what we do now. Since we had limited resources, since we had to take turns to use the computer to simulate, unlike now where in a click of a button you can compute any output, we would analyze more. So one output we would take at least one day to analyze before we make the next attempt. And that actually has ingrained a deeper thought process as to if you change some parameters, what is the outcome? So the what if scenarios, the scenarios of different variables, what are the outcomes, and leading from the fundamental of chemical engineering. I think those kind of discussions and dialogues in the group, because EIL always worked in a team, and seniors were always very helpful. Seniors still are very helpful to the juniors, and that kind of kind of basic understanding of what you're doing, I think trained our mind. Of course, now it's very quick. Nobody has the time to wait, neither for carrying out a heated material balance or project execution. Times are very much fast than they were in yesteryears. But that was my first project, the LPG revamp that I did, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and it's still etched in my memory.
Then you worked on one of the biggest project of that time, MRPL Phase 3.
Then, after the gas processing, which I did for 5 years, I worked in ONGC projects, I worked in GAIL projects, in LPG Vijaypur, LPG Vagodia. Then I also looked at some C2C3 recovery in for the Pata project as well, for the Pata complex. And then once I had a 5 year stint, and I took advice from my colleagues and seniors, I was told that it's good that you migrate to another group. And that time, process had different groups. So the gas processing was different, the refinery was different, petrochemical was different, utility was different. So I worked around this, and I shifted to the refinery group.
Okay.
And the first project in refinery I did was for Panipat RFCC. That was one of the first resid FCCs, wherein we were doing an extended package of Stone Webster and those times. And that was my first project in refinery. Thereafter, I did some Baroni modernization worksheets by hand,
Okay.
not the LP programming that we do now. Did the material balance for high sulfur crude in Baroni, and several other projects in refineries. Before we did one of the, Numaligarh project, Gujarat refinery project, Haldia refinery, all these projects. And then the DHDS phase came in the late 90s. And DHDS was the I think Euro 2 project.
2, yeah.
Euro 2. And therein the DHDS in Gujarat and Haldia, which I was responsible for. And then the mega projects evolved. Previous to that, we also changed the way we did crude and vacuum designs, especially hot reflux that we added in the crude and vacuum unit for CDO4 in BPCL Mumbai, in MRPL, based on the Lamas design, the first Lamas design we did for SR, erstwhile SR. So there were a lot of technology changes in the process which division which were incorporated. Thereafter, I had and there'll be many more MSQ Gujarat and so on and so forth. Before we went on to lead as a team a mega project of Mangalore refinery expansion, which was expanding to 15 million ton phase 3, wherein we deployed some new technologies and also brought in the LSTK OB method into the company, wherein single point responsibility was ours to execute these projects end to end.
Ma'am, how was the transformation from that hand design and then to using a software? So, did you feel any challenge adapting to it, or it was like just happened?
Well, it wasn't very easy, but I think the plus is that when we used to fill data sheets by hand, we used to have more feel of numbers.
True.
Because the mind works along with your pen.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that when you write, your mind is a constantly active.
True.
And many of the, when you glance through a data sheet, even if you give me a data sheet today, I glance through it and I'll catch something because of the way we filled it by hand. And there was those transparent sheets which we had pencil and rubber and we used to fill and kind of had by-checked approved there. So transitioning to the computer or digital data sheets, it wasn't difficult, but we began with typing out or putting it by print by hand and then typing it out on the computer. It was not like we have now that they are extracted from the system and then it comes onto a data sheet. I think to understand nuances of design, that exercise, some of us who are here for more than 35 years have grown with that transition. It is, I don't recall it being tough or anything, but we had to adapt. Sometimes we were pushed to adapt because some of us people had reluctance,
Yes.
but that was the system. So any change you bring in has a kind of resistance for adoption, but it's always at the end, digitalization, automation is always good.
So you have an experience in the entire oil and gas sector, I think, be it refining, petrochemicals, or let's say gas processing, or any other, you name it, and you have an experience, you have an exposure to work with these projects, mega projects, in fact. So have you worked in LNG sector?
So first of all, it's a privilege for me to be having given this opportunity and trust and faith and responsibility to work in all sectors. Yeah, I've touched upon, we only do regas in India. So
True.
we've done some regasification for the Dahej originally. A little work there. But more on the cold integration that we've done in PDH for Petronet, which we figured out, which is the first of its kind
Yes.
in India and probably the world. So it's been a great spectrum, not just in that, even in the second generation ethanol or sustainable aviation fuel or any of these technologies. I've been very lucky to even, at the inception when it was even beginning in the country, what the teams worked in the R&D division, I think they did a phenomenal job in getting the understanding in the country for such new technologies as well.
Ma'am, I'll take you back to those times because our projects are construction heavy.
Yes.
So have you been ever deployed to site?
So I've had short stints, the longest short stints afterwards. But in '91, I was deployed for commissioning of the LPG phase 1 of Vijaypur, GAIL. And I was there for almost totaling of about 4 to 5 months in commissioning, which is a great experience. And I think missing out, and if anybody is missing out on that experience, you're not a full-blown engineer, especially EIL engineer. We need to see sites. And intrinsically, I have great interest in construction. And lucky for me, I have seen many, many projects at from, where you had cotton fields growing like in Opal, or cashew nuts plants growing in Mangalore, or Rajasthan refinery, just pure desert, to having come up. So it's always excited me to see the the beauty that we create in terms of the projects that we do, and the brilliance of our teams who work in such complex projects in very challenging environments, and the delivery that happens till date. As a company, we have never left a project undone. We've completed all our projects, and through thick and thin, we have overcome a lot of adversity everywhere. But EIL delivers, and that I think defines us, which and to be one of the pillars of the company. It is important that you know the site, because if you walk through the site and you cannot feel what the site is, you cannot it's incomplete, I would say. So that's always excited me beyond my the process part. uh, Project execution, contract management, contractors management, looking at planning, looking at those numbers, and also guiding as to what should be done to expedite, how to move the needle on project execution.
True, ma'am. So, I mean, you have worked on different projects with different clients. Can you tell us like one or two projects that was very close to your heart? I mean,
Oh, yes, most certainly,
yeah.
most certainly. So, Mangalore Phase 3 is very, very close to my heart, uh, particularly because we did several levels of elevations over there. The hydraulics were very tough to execute. Client was very good, so it challenged us. They challenged us. We worked intensively with the team on EIL side. Our project leaders, our process head, very, very dynamic, very demanding, and so to meet up to their expectations was actually a challenge. And when you win those challenges, it's very satisfying. So that is one project wherein, as a whole team, through very, very difficult circumstances, good decisions were taken. Things which were going wrong were set right, and project moved at a very fast pace. So that's one thing which kind of gives you very huge satisfaction in terms of execution. Um, there are several others, but the recent one that we completed in India Energy Week,
Yeah, that is
the
amazing.
auditorium and the facilities,
Advanced Training Institute
Advanced
of
Training
ONGC.
Institute, I think that is something which will remain. In fact, I was telling our team, telling Director Projects and ED, BD, Mr. Rathi, that Tanveer, Swaroop, and all these boys who have worked there, they think it as their home. And even I thought it as my home, because we were so much attached to the project. It
Yes.
was our project. We have to complete it on time. Whatever come the hurdles, we don't care. We need to get it done. So that spirit of togetherness, the spirit of working with each other, irrespective of levels, and everybody helped each other. Everybody used all the resources, everything that any of us knew. So that project will always remain. The India Energy Week, the ATI, is going to be, I think, something on a high point on EIL's execution capabilities, recognized by all the domestic clients as well as the international clients. There's another project which is very, very exciting, and in fact, that was not my project entirely, but I happened to go often to Mumbai refinery for a configuration work for expansion. But my heart is always there at site. So whenever I used to go for any meetings, unless I went and smelled the site, it wouldn't complete my visit. So we had CDU 4 project, which was coming up, and Nitin Deoras, who was one of our uh, most dynamic RCMs,
Yes.
was heading that project, and I would always go and see that project, how it has come up. EIL's strength, EIL's capability to develop that project in such a small space, vertically up, because I was also part of some of the process work that was going on in such difficult circumstances was near impossible. It was a challenge which BPCL threw on us, and we took that challenge and converted it into a great project. A very energy efficient unit, built meticulously by the teams. I think that was also something which is a remarkable memory, which will always be there in terms of how we can convert these challenges into opportunity. I think that defines EIL.
True. Ma'am, what was the point during that phase, like maybe when you were AGM or DGM, that you thought like, okay, now this is the time to be a leader, or it just happened, or it was a conscious choice to be around, or to be involved in the nitty gritty of leadership things. So when did that transition from maybe a manager to a leader took place in your life?
So, uh, how do I answer you, Praveen? Uh, See, inherently it's me. I
I
can't
get
stop
it.
myself
Yes,
from
I get
answering this
it.
way. So even in school, I would always, challenge myself. Why can't I be the class monitor? I was the head girl of my school. I was the girls' hostel president in my college, and I always wanted to take the position of, being in the forefront to express what students want or what we want, in a very amicable fashion, and kind of get things done by whatever it is, organizational or literary or anything like that. So that's always been something which I always enjoyed to do, in the sense of take responsibility, and whatever it takes in terms of time, efforts, it's there. So, having done that, when I entered EIL, I really found the industry very different than school and college. And now I'll mention on the gender aspect, in the sense there were very few women, and even now when I sit in some of the meetings, many of the meetings, you don't find women being there in leadership roles. So it was tough for me in initial years to navigate this challenge. But then, often, and I say this also, that many times that I would sit in a room and I would have an idea and I wouldn't speak about it. Some other colleague would speak about it. I said, well, that was my idea. Why didn't I speak about it? So over the years, I figured out that, well, this is not going to kind of last for good. I need to step back, step up my game. So, but as I was telling, few of our colleagues, that it's not that you kind of plan that, okay, you'll have this position or that position or anything like that. You should be trying, endeavor to be the best and give the best. And I think the outcome is in itself, people can't ignore you. And I've always worked like that. And I tell people also that if they have a candidate list of 5 people and you are in the list of the 5 people, you should be the first one that they should consider for the responsibility.
True.
And for that, you have to build up credentials, you have to work towards it, build up the kind of delivery that you have done, or the relationship that you build with clients, the outcome oriented approach that you have, or problem solving approach you can have, because these are all very complex industry that we work in. And once you have that, I think things flow. It has to be focused. You need efforts. You should be willing to take the responsibilities as well, because it costs. It doesn't come for free. Responsibilities have, some things you have to sacrifice. You cannot say that you will have it all. Very few people are lucky to have it all. you know. So that kind of commitment is needed. So when you ask at what time I transitioned, I think it was always there, and I always, you know, I mean, look at it this way: why should you reject yourself? Let others look at you. So you should be offering yourself for the responsibility. And more often than not in industry, people look for leadership. People look even at AGM or senior GM or that level that you're talking. Why is somebody given a particular project and not somebody else? Because uh, senior management thinks that person, he or she can deliver. So that's a matter of reputation, that's a matter of feedback. So there are many elements that go into it, that you're thrust with more responsibility or larger responsibility. When you're giving that larger responsibility and you perform, then it's a multiplier effect. It kind of, you become important to the organization, and you tread with that responsibility as you go up. I think the I mean, think success follows. I
I
would say
also
like
think
that.
you had that inherent in you in terms of leadership qualities, because the jobs are one thing, then how to manage those things and the peripheral things, this also requires a lot of effort and articulation, sometimes kind of pushing few things, sometimes which alternatives to choose, these things. So I'm taking this to one of the examples that just came into my mind was your leadership that almost transformed our R&D center. So I must talk about it, because research and development, I joined research and development, and then I saw in a span of like 4 years, around 4.5 years, that how that R&D center changed completely, both in terms of perception as well as results. So can you tell us little bit about, or rather if you want to share more, so it will be great for our audience.
So, first of all, I've been very privileged and delighted to have had the opportunity to lead R&D in EIL, and I think it's all about people. We have brilliant people in EIL and brilliant people in R&D. So, as any head or any department head or leader, it's always important to understand the talent and unleash that talent in the organization. And Engineers India is all about people. And we say we deliver excellence through people. So it was always about that. R&D I took as a challenge. That was a delightful challenge that I took. And I was very grateful to my then director, Mr. Deshpande, who gave me that responsibility. And I recall, since I mentioned earlier that my joining in EIL was one of the factors was the R&D division. Somehow, I think in the bottom of my heart, I had that kind of attachment also, although I had never worked in R&D. But in yesteryears, we had a lot of interaction with R&D, especially process and R&D. And that's intrinsic to growing technology, understanding what is the need of the industry, and then aligning the R&D towards that need. So R&D also has a very beautiful, you know, strength. It has this great budget.
Yes.
And very seldom people realize that if you have a budget to spend, you can do wonders. So, and budget spending in R&D is always encouraged. So I had a power, which was a budget. And with the colleagues in R&D, the administration of the division in R&D is very well administratively managed. It's like a whole company in itself. So that changed a lot of things. I believe scientists to be or engineers who are in R&D should be focusing more on R&D and less on administrative work, so that they can focus on that. And that's exactly what we did. We created the ecosystem in the R&D to give them the platform to do research. whether it was a laboratory, tools, tackles, exposures to the industry, collaborations that we did, projects that we secured across the industry. The goodwill I had from process, I used entire goodwill in R&D. And EIL R&D always had a prestigious place in the industry because we commercialized technology. And making good use of that, the teams worked brilliantly, and young engineers like you, I think, were important in the game of things to get a platform to kind of excel and create that space to develop. So, and when you look forward, there are a lot of areas wherein fundamental research is important. More importantly, applied research is also equally important, and translating that into kind of end use for our customers is going to diversify, and it has diversified our portfolio as well. So R&D was a great challenge, a great experience, and a great learning. And it was great to see that EIL is back into the center stage
Yes.
of reckoning in the industry as an organization which supports development, which acknowledges and respects and encourages new areas to go into, giving opportunity to young minds to explore, to discover, fail as well as succeed.
True.
Engineering is extremely exciting because it creates something tangible.
Your efforts are reflected in the business numbers that we have right now. We achieved the highest order book position in the year 24-25.
This big order book that we have, we are delivering with the same number of people. So our output per person and our revenue per person is on the rise. Nuclear segment where we have entered, there is huge potential there. We are already there. EIL is blessed with a lot of database which is documented and available with us. Benchmark the dynamism of change in terms of the critical paths.
We have championed cultural transformation in EIL, and one of the examples is the QC project implementation and adoption of Lean and Six Sigma processes.
For the Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Yojana, I was very closely associated, including the approvals which were taken for allocation of funds, etc.